people, is what Mr. Stengel said. If I understand correctly, he was the head of the Global Engagement Center at its creation, right?
He was, and in his book, Information Wars, there are a number of passages where he talks about creating a whole-of-government solution to the information problem. He hastened to say that he didn't want to create a, quote, information ministry, but what he was describing roughly approximates that.
In the half minute I've got left, he also was associated with Hamilton 68, right?
The Global Engagement Center certainly had ties to Hamilton 68.
I think it's closer than that. Well, that'll come out.
Okay. Well, I'd be anxious to hear that.
I hope I'll get yielded in a minute or two from somebody else down the way. There's all sorts of stuff to disclose. This committee has to uncover not that single instance, but this system that you have described. This is the hope that Americans have to set this right. This committee, and that hostility shows what we're up against. It's not 3 pillars to the system, it is 4. And you're seeing the left move to crush you and anybody else who tries to expose this. I yield.
I thank the gentleman for his great 5 minutes, and we now yield to the gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Conley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know what to say after that last one. We're fellow Americans, and we're elected officials. We're trying to get at the truth, and we're trying to participate in the process at getting at the truth. Mr. Taibbi, you have said that this isn't really a matter of right or left, that there are lots of different ideological colorations involved in the Twitter files. Is that roughly correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Schellenberg, you would agree with that?
Yes.
So when you release information, have you released any information of, for example, right-wing elements or the Trump White House attempting to moderate content at Twitter?
Yes.
No, not the Trump White House per se, although I did report initially in the first Twitter files that the Trump White House had made and requests and had been honored.
Mr. Schellenberg?
I did not find that.
You haven't found it. So we had a hearing the other day on Twitter, and we had 4 witnesses, 3 for the majority, 1 for the minority, and all 4 testified under oath they had never received a request for content moderation or takedown by the Biden White House, but they did from Donald Trump's White House. And specifically, the case brought up was an exchange between Donald Trump, then President of the United States, and Chrissy Teigen, where he had called her something, and she called him something back. I won't repeat it. And this was under oath confirmed. Yeah, that happened. And that the White House shortly thereafter, after Teigen had her email about the president, which was pejorative, that the White House called Twitter to try to take on the content. You aware of that, Mr. Taibbi?
Yeah, I've certainly heard that in the news, yes.
But did you see that email exchange?
No, I have not seen an exchange from the Trump White House.
So
I have seen one from Congressman Schiff and one from Senator Angus King.
Yeah, nice try. We're talking about the Trump White House and people under oath confirming it. And my question is, in the Twitter files, did Elon Musk or Twitter provide you with that exchange with Chrissy Teigen?
No, but that's probably because the searches that I was making.
Well, probably because it didn't confirm the bias that this is all about, as the gentleman from Texas would say, the left attempting to control content, when in fact the evidence is the Trump White House most certainly attempted to control content on Twitter. Mr. Schellenberger, were you aware of that, or is this all news to you?
I already answered that question.
No, I mean specifically the Teigen exchange.
Yeah, the Teigen exchange was news to me.
I'm probably mispronouncing her name, I'm sorry. So let me ask, have you combed the so-called Twitter files to look at other examples that aren't about the Biden White House or the FBI that might in fact involve people from the right ideologically or from the Republican ranks, just to be fair.
Well, again, Mr. Congressman, I mentioned before, we're focused not on the Biden administration or the Trump administration. In fact, just this morning, we released an exchange where Twitter talked about vetting the accounts of both Mr. Biden and Mr. Trump. And really, we were looking at the intelligence agencies when we were doing this research. And as I mentioned before, their conclusions targeted people on both the left and the right globally, again, including the Yellow Vest movement in France, the pro-Maduro accounts in South America, and leftist news organizations in America like Truth Out and Consortium. Some of those people are my friends, actually. And we found those in intelligence lists that were passed on to Twitter, just as we found lists that included ordinary Trump supporters.
Thank you. Reclaiming my time, I appreciate that, because in some ways what you just said undermines the premise of this select committee, which is that the federal government has been organized to weaponize against conservative voices. And of course, what you've just indicated in your testimony is, well, actually, that's not the evidence you found.
No, I think this committee, my understanding is that they're concerned about the weaponization of the government against free speech, which is certainly what we're fighting.
Thank you. My time has expired, but I appreciate your understanding of our committee. I have a different understanding. I yield back.
Well, you got the wrong understanding. Last week in the full Judiciary Committee hearing, I introduced into the record a story of a left-wing journalist who said that talked about the FBI putting a paid informant, a felon, in the Black Lives Matter movement in Denver. I want to focus on the First Amendment, just like protecting the First Amendment, just like these guys
Point
do.
of order, Mr. Chair. Are you going to respond after every?
No, I'm taking my 5 minutes.
This is
I can
your,
take my 5 minutes.
it's your 5 minutes
I can
now?
take my 5 minutes when I want to, and I'm taking my 5 minutes
Okay,
now.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I've asked for an additional few seconds for being interrupted by